you're sticking your head in the mud saying, well, I'm just not going to deal with AI because maybe it'll go away. Sorry, newsflash, it's not going away. It is not going away. You either adopt or you get left in the dust.
Hey guys, this is Christian here at TaxProMarketer, and I've got my colleague Noah Jenks with me.
Good to have everybody.
I hear you, you hear me. We're here doing this thing. I think we're going live. I'm not sure if that's true. We've got a new software we're using, so the marketing guys are figuring it out. But we're talking about something that's, I think, really relevant to most people that are going to be listening to this, which is, what do you do in the age of AI? I think that this conversation is not new to the tax and accounting space, but it did take kind of a shift in late 25, early 26, in my opinion. I think that this conversation took a shift as it relates to what AI is going to bring in terms of pros and cons to the tax and accounting space. And we want to talk about some of those things from our angle as marketers. So this is not the only angle, because just to name a few positives, I do think that AI is massively positive in terms of production. I think AI is massively positive in terms of like getting tasks done in your tax business, your CPA business, your bookkeeping business, your tax planning business. I think AI is massively positive in terms of like being your tool that you didn't know you needed, that just opens up your ability to work with humans. But that being said, AI is also a threat, or it's at least a dynamically different way to both engage with leads and know what they're thinking about. I don't think the world is going to end because of AI, but I think our angle as marketers for CPA firms, bookkeepers, tax preparers, tax planners and such, tax resolution specialists, EAs, et cetera, our angle is to try and frame how AI is both a tool, a resource, and also something you need to conversationally be aware of when it comes to your engagement with your leads. So that's the angle we're going to take. I think what is going to be true moving forward into the future is the AI skeptical part of me, is that at the end of the day, there will be a swath, there will be a percentage of people, taxpayers and businesses, that are comfortable with going AI first for their bookkeeping, for their tax preparation, for their whatever. I mean, that's kind of like H&R Block or TurboTax's angle already. And the apocalypse didn't come 5 or 6 years ago, when everyone thought that, TurboTaxes and their prices and their scalability was going to just disrupt our industry at a huge degree. And it did. And they do have a big share of the market related to simple tax returns. But it did not kill off the independent CPA advisor, someone that's a business owner wanting to work with a human who has a face and a body and can do a video meeting or meet in person or send emails back and forth. I don't think that's going anywhere. But I do think that how people look for the individual they're going to work with is really changing, because the conversation used to go, I'm a business owner that needs help with my taxes, my accounting, my bookkeeping, my whatever. I need a tax planner. I need a fractional CFO. I need someone to help me resolve this debt with the IRS. I'd get on Google, I'd do a few searches. Maybe I'd get on Facebook and look at some groups I'm a part of, like business owner groups or other things. I'd ask questions. But now it is starting to change where leads are going first. They're skipping the traditional Google search, sometimes altogether. And they're going to ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Gemini, and they're asking questions about outcomes. How do I solve this problem in my business or for my family or for myself? How things are going right now is people are asking their questions. I owe the IRS money, ChatGPT, what do I do? And ChatGPT is going to say, you need an EA or a tax resolution specialist, a professional, a tax attorney. You need someone to go in and help you resolve this, and here's some good local options. And so we want to talk about it from that angle, and how you can play the game of leveraging AI by building your online infrastructure in such a way to go and get found and just live in your business in 2026 and beyond with the new reality of what AI is going to do. So that's like the big framework, is like, what do you do in the age of AI? And how do you play this game? And so Noah and I, we talk to a lot of customers and a lot of people in this industry, and we both have a lot of experience in how digital marketing works and doesn't work. And we want to just take the angle of like, what do you do with AI as a tool? AI is not replacing Google. AI is not replacing email marketing. AI is not replacing social media marketing. ChatGPT is not replacing advertising, but it is a new player, kind of AI enter scene left onto the stage that we do have to deal with. We have to talk about, we have to think about. Noah, that's a lot of preamble, but what would you add to the conversation here as we get started?
It's if you're not thinking about this, if you're not thinking about AI, if you're not planning for AI, you're going to get left in the dust. And I know that's kind of a blunt statement to make and maybe a little bit harsh, but whenever there's new technology and look through all of the different things over the last, I'd say this specifically the last 26 years since, kind of the dot-com boom, 99, 2000, there have always been early adopters. And then what happens is things go from being questionable to being accepted by society. If we had talked about AI, Christian, 3 years ago, it was highly suspect. People were raising a lot of eyebrows saying, what in the world is this thing? Is this going to be here? Do I think it's going to change things? Yes, it already is. Do I think if you're not planning on how to adjust your business for this new landscape, you have the potential of getting left in the dust? Because the way that we interact and the way that we use these interfaces that have been societal norms for the last 15 plus years, it is all changing. And I will say it's changing quickly. The rate
Right.
that this is growing and changing is astounding. But here's what's not going to change. People need advice. People want people to help them. That's what they want. So people want all of this stuff. And so if you're sticking your head in the mud saying, well, I'm just not going to deal with AI because maybe it'll go away. Sorry, newsflash, it's not going away. Like it is
Right.
not going away. You either adopt or you get left in the dust. And so we're going to talk
Yep.
about some of those ways. We're going to talk about how do you bring this into what you're doing. And I will make this preamble statement as well. You'll hear
Yep.
us talk a lot about GEO, generative engine optimization. Forever, it's always been SEO,
Right.
search engine optimization. How do you optimize the
Mhm.
search engine? So when someone types in accountant near me, CPA, best tax professional in Chicago, whatever, well, you would want to rank on page one. Of course, like that is what marketing and SEO has been for the last for decades, but that landscape is changing. So if you do not
Mhm.
change with it, that will radically affect your business. And so what we're going to talk about is how do you get ranked in GEO? How does that affect your business? What are the
Right.
things you need to be thinking of? Because the norms are shifting and we are going to this new style of engagement, this new style of search. We're asking questions. Christian, let's jump into it. Because there's
Let's
a
get it.
lot we want to cover, and we're not going to cover everything today. Okay, so just
Nope.
like be aware of that. We're going to kind of hit the biggest parts of this, but the start of this is GEO, again, generative engine
Mhm.
optimization. That's kind of synonymous with AI rank. It's not reinventing the wheel.
Nope.
Take it away.
That's it. No, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's actually leveraging the existing strategies and infrastructure that ranking on Google would require, but it's just putting emphasis on different parts. And so we're going to talk first about your reputation and a foundation of authority. So, Noah, we preach reviews, case studies, and videos. Your website in particular is the most relevant item when it comes to whether in GEO, generative engine optimization, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, Google answers on their search. How you get found there is more tied to your website than anything else, which maybe isn't surprising to some of you, but that's where we've got to spend not all of our time, but a lot of our time. A lot of our time needs to be spent on how do you need to build your website in order to make ChatGPT or whatever LLM, large language model like ChatGPT or Claude that you want to get found on. It's the authority and trust that your website creates. Everything that any search engine, whether it's an AI driven one or traditional Google or Bing or Yelp, they're trying to provide answers to questions that people pose. Who's the best CPA near me? Who's the best accountant? Who's the best tax preparer? And how your website is either built or not built has always had a lot to do with how you showed up on Google. And now what we're trying to say is it has an outsized impact on whether or not you'll show up in these large language models. Google has had a bit of a stranglehold on the search market for a long time, and I think they're going to be just fine in this new world. But there are some new players, and so the big idea is let's go to where your leads are. Let's get you in front of them. That's always the goal of marketing, is to get visible first. It's not the only goal, but the first goal is to get visible. And so how you get visible on ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whatever, Gemini, is first the foundation of authority you either have or don't have. And that's the content on your site, the reviews you have, the way you structure the content of your website itself. So like not only the words on the site, but the structure. Like think about FAQ pages or really well formatted lists, because these large language models are crawling large amounts of language, of content, of text. That's what they're good at. And if your text content on your website is not, one, helpful to answer the questions that people are asking, or two, formatted in such a way that it can be obvious like what you're going for, what you're trying to talk about, you're going to miss the mark. Most tax, accounting, CPA websites have not been changed in forever. I mean, maybe forever. And new websites, the newness doesn't necessarily mean success. When we talk about building websites for people, both pre-AI and post-AI conversations, your website has two jobs. Job number one is to get visible, to get found. If your website is not helping you get found, what's the point of it? Okay, you've got a link to your client portal where people can submit documents to you. Okay, that's fine. It's not bad, but that's not like the marketing side of things. That's not lead gen. That's not growth. So if you want to grow your business and your website is not, first of all, helping you get found, that's a problem. The second thing is to start conversations. So your website's second job is to start a conversation with a prospective lead, in my opinion. Everything else is fluff. Everything else is superfluous. It's not irrelevant. It's just not as important. Does your website help you get found, and does it start conversations with real leads? If it doesn't do those things, then I just think you've got some gaps. You can be successful as it relates to this channel, digital marketing, without spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to get results. You don't have to, but you do need to spend some money. It's not always true that just investing in marketing and growth will lead to growth, but it's probably also true that most businesses that don't readily invest, they start to stagnate or they don't grow. And so you have to have at the beginning about marketing this belief that you must invest into your business to grow. That's just table stakes. If you don't believe that, then you're not going to invest in any marketing and you're going to grow through referrals, and that can get you so far. But if you want to go where the people are, unless you have all the time in the world to learn how to build your website, you're going to need to get someone to help you with this. So then the question is, okay, Christian, I believe you. I need to invest in marketing, but where do I go? Invest in your website so that it ranks and starts conversations. That's the center of the spokes. It's the locus of the system. The center thing that ties everything else together is what your website is doing or not doing. And now let's turn towards LLMs and GEO ranking on ChatGPT. That's kind of what we're going to talk about. How you get in front of those leads is, again, not reinventing the wheel, but it is putting more emphasis on your website. It's putting more emphasis on your website and the content you either have or not. So before I tell you what to do, just ask yourself, when's the last time I substantively changed or tweaked my website? Whether it was good or bad, just like when's the last time you did anything on your website? Is it from 2017 or earlier? Did you build it 3 years ago and you've forgotten about it? Do you know how it's ranking or how it's performing? Do you know anything about your website related to performance? I would submit to you, most people don't in our industry, and so you're in good shape. You're amongst good colleagues and friends who are growing a business without this. But you should be able to know how your website's ranking, conversions it's getting, and just the general flow of like, is it doing its job, getting you in front of your ideal lead and starting conversations with them. And your ideal leads are starting to use ChatGPT and Gemini. And so some of the things you would want to change about your website, or if you rebuilt it, invest in, is you want the content on your website to answer the questions they're going to ask, which actually relates to some old school marketing tactics. This is building your client avatar. Who is your ideal client? What are their pain points? What do they need help with? What are their problems? You need to know that first. You don't want to write content on your website about your services. You probably can have service pages, right? That's great. But you want to write even your service page content, like your bookkeeping service page, your tax preparation service page, your tax planning service page. You want those pages plus your homepage to be about outcomes. You don't want it to be about me. I've been around for 20 years. I do accounting services. We're really knowledgeable. We have good staff. That's like white noise. You want the pages on your website to validate that you want to understand the problem this person has. And here's an example of how I've solved this problem, and I can do it for you. Let's talk. So
If I can,
outcomes, please jump in.
so if I can kind of say what you're saying too in a different way, it depends on what's the focus of your website. Most websites are business centric. Here are my services. Here's what I do. Here's why I'm awesome. And philosophically, I think that's just how we think websites have to be. We think they have to be about us, the business owner. The problem with that thought is someone doesn't go to your website per se to learn about you. They go to your website because they, the prospect, have a problem. They have an issue. And this kind of goes back to what you were saying before, Christian, that your website has to start a conversation. Now, you have to get seen first. You have to get ranked first before you can start that conversation. So you have to have the content, you have to have the FAQs, you have to have everything built out correctly. But then when they come to you, and if you're, think about your website, mystery shop your website. Someone goes to your website, they land on what's called your homepage, okay? They land on that main landing page, which is the most critical real estate to your entire website. Objectively, ask yourself a question. What are they supposed to do next? I would guess most of you are like, well, I have a book now button. Okay, but how many people actually book now? I would guess I would probably throw a pretty accurate dart at the board saying less than 3%. If you're even looking at the data, if you're even tracking it, I would guess an extremely low percentage, negligible. Why don't they click on the book now? Well, because there's nothing compelling for them to book for. Why are they booking? What are they booking to talk about? What's going to be discussed? You don't even know what their problem is. Make at least the predominant landing page not about you, but about them. What's your problem? What do you need? What issues are you facing? Do you owe back taxes? Do you have a business, in-house bookkeeper? What's your revenue look like? You start asking questions and engaging, and then you start having more pre-qualified prospects. The first thing you have to do is rank. You have to rank in Google. You have to rank in AI.
Yep.
But
right.
What do they do once they find you? If they find you and there's nothing for them to do, congratulations. You just had a really nice digital business card of a website that doesn't actually convert prospects.
Yep. I love that. That's well said. And that's what we're trying to hammer home is that your website in the age of AI needs to be persuasive to ChatGPT that you're worth showcasing as an expert for this outcome this person's looking for, this problem. And when the human gets there, your website needs to convince and persuade them that you understand their problem and have solved it before for other people. And if it's not doing that, it's just not going to perform as well. But your website is a huge part of the success driver for what your business can be or can do. And without those components, you're just going to leave money on the table. So here's one big takeaway. The content on your website matters a lot and how it's structured matters a lot. Are you just telling people about your services or are you solving for outcomes? Hey, I can help you with this. I've done it before. Tell me more about you and let's get a call scheduled where I already know some of your problems and we can go into that call ready for me to close you. This speeds up your closing system. And honestly, guys, it's not all about sales. Because you do want to have the right sales leads coming in. You want to pre-qualify them and get them vetted and nurtured, right? So that they're kind of aware they're in the right place, you're the right option. But really, marketing is truly about driving ROI and sales. It's not more complicated than that. It's just that most people in our space are phoning it in with simple websites that don't do much for them. Let's change that. In 2026, let's change that, both to make ChatGPT and other AI sources rank you higher, but also to talk to humans, your leads who need your help, to know how you can solve their problems. Because people are afraid of tax or accounting or bookkeeping problems in their business. Generally speaking, this is a service you guys provide that is solving a lot of fear. And so you want to speak to the emotion. This is scary. You don't know what you're doing. I do, and I'll get you to this outcome, which isn't just compliance, it's peace. Your website needs to communicate that you will bring about some level of order and peace. Let's keep going though. Let's get off the website for a second. You need reviews. You need reviews on your Google page in particular. Video testimonials is number 2 or 1A, 1B. A good video testimonial that we use on your ad campaign or your website, like you either talking about a client and the performance they had with you, like their results with you, or you actually talking to that client and getting that on the site. Even if it's just like from your iPhone or from a software like we're using here today, like 2 talking heads, a Zoom recording, Google Meet recording, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be there, that you have either yourself talking about a case study, like here's this client I brought in whose books were a mess, unfiled years of returns, owed the IRS money too, and here's where they're at now. That's awesome. But Google reviews is 1A. You need to get your happy clients on Google reviews. This helps the LLMs like ChatGPT say that you are as good as you say you are. So your website creates a foundation. The Google reviews is the validation, which I didn't mean to make an alliteration there. I think that's what that was.
I mean, that
Hey,
sounded really nice.
whoa, there you go.
Hey,
But your
look it up.
website is the foundation. Your reviews is the validation. Dang, Noah, we're spitting
rhyming.
fire today.
Look, we're just
Woo!
rhyming. We're
It's
rhyming
Dr.
up here.
Seuss.
Chris,
Dr.
it's easier
Seuss
said.
on the TPM recording.
What's so interesting about the review conversation though is like it's so easier said than done. You know, we work with our clients every single month. We talk to our clients, we get on, you know, account management calls. We're looking at, you know, how are you ranking? How are you performing? How are you getting reviews? And I'll tell you, like, reviews can be a struggle. Biggest questions, you know, people come and work with us and they say, "No, I understand I need reviews. But I only have 30 bookkeeping clients. I know it's hard, but we've got strategies and we coach and we strategize and we work with them to try a lot of different angles. And obviously, don't go out and buy reviews. Don't do that. Like
Don't do that.
no, don't do that. Real bad idea. When you have good relationship with your clients, they will leave you reviews, but you have to ask. They're unfortunately,
Yes.
for as much as we trust and like implicitly use reviews, whether I'm like if I'm in a new city, you know, coffee shops, restaurants, whatever, if I need an electrician, like first I search the thing, electrician near me. I go with whoever shows up on page 1. And again, this is traditional SEO search. And then I'm going to vet them and I'm going to probably call the person with the most reviews, the highest star ratings, the most frequent reviews. These are all things that subliminally we all use to make decisions. And so if you are not proactively asking your happy clients for reviews, they most likely will not leave you reviews. You might get a one-off organic review. You might, but most people don't do that. But what's amazing is when you tweak the narrative a little bit and you just start asking when they're happy with an immediate action step, it's incredible how many you will get. I'm still not saying everyone will leave you, but you'll probably get over 70%. If you meet your clients when they're happy. Hey, so glad we got to get your taxes all figured out this year. Isn't that nice to have behind you? Hey, could you scan this QR code and leave us a review right now before you leave the office? It really helps our business grow and it really helps us, get seen by the right people. Do that. Do that. Simple tweak in the narrative, tweak in the script, but you ask for reviews with an immediate next step, you will get more reviews, which will then impact your entire online ecosystem. It's not the only thing. So please don't go into this just being like, oh, if I get 10 reviews, I'm now going to rank everywhere. No, marketing is an ecosystem. Okay. Marketing is not doing one thing and then you rank well. It has to do with the website. It has to do with the keywords, the blogging, the AI optimization. It has to do with the SEO. It has to do with the reviews, the social media. All of this is under the ecosystem. And when you do all of this well, really good things happen for your visibility and then your lead generation and then your conversion. But you have to do all these together, but you can't neglect reviews. I would say reviews, again, they're not the only thing, but they do have a pretty heavy weight on moving the needle. And what we see with our clients is the ones who integrate with our system, use our automations, take advice from the coaching calls that we do. When you get good reviews, really good things happen to both your SEO, your traditional Google search, but also your GEO, your LLMs.
Also your ads. Also your
ads.
emails. Also
because they help with conversion.
It's the validation piece.
Yep.
If you have good reviews, everything else in your marketing and advertising gets better.
It's
And I
can
think
I
Noah hit it. Hit it. Keep
let me
going.
frame it this way, and I don't want to dig too much into the analogies, but the way I look at reviews is marketing is the cake that you make to bring to a birthday party. But when you build multiple layers to this cake, it's going to look really good. But you're not going to bring a 4-layer cake with no frosting and decoration on it. Like I want the frosting on the cake. So like you don't want to only get reviews, the frosting, like you don't only want to do that. You need the cake. You need the marketing to hold the frosting. But the frosting is, man, it makes this thing so appealing. It makes everything look good. The frosting makes it look good in SEO, in marketing, in advertising, in AI search, everywhere. The reviews just take things to a whole new level.
So wherever you show up, the reviews you get, as Noah is hammering home, it's just going to cause more people to trust you. More people will trust you because of the positive feedback of others. And it's not easy to get them. You need a system. You need it to be automated. But to come back to AI, there's another thing I want to focus on, and we'll probably have to save some of these other stuff for part 2 because we might run out of time here. Because I want to go into sales next. Like, how does AI either help you with your sales, or how to think about AI with your sales, or just your sales system in general. But at a general level, in the world of AI, what is going to happen is that people are going to skip the traditional Google search. People are not going to go to Google as much and type in who is the best CPA in Austin, Texas, or in Reno, Nevada, or Los Angeles, California. They are going to go to these ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity, Claude, LLMs and do a search about the outcome they want, like we've talked about. And I think in this age where there is not advertising for small businesses on these LLMs right now, I think that it makes advertising on Google and Facebook even more appealing. So if you have been reliant on good SEO in the past, or if you might want to be reliant on it in the present or future. So if you just did really well on Google Rank, because a certain amount of percentage of traffic is leaving Google to go and do a search elsewhere, and maybe they'll never get back to Google until they're ready to look at your reviews like we just talked about. I think it puts the onus on the business owner to go and get in front of them more proactively. SEO is kind of a reactive thing. Someone puts in a search and there you are, right? And so ads is proactive. Let me pay money to Facebook or Google to get in front of my ideal audience. I think it's going to be more of a pay-to-play environment. We're feeling that. We're seeing that. We're seeing that for our customers. You're going to have to be more willing to spend in certain LinkedIn, YouTube, but probably mostly Google and Facebook, so that you can show up to your most highly relevant ideal customer. So back to knowing who your ideal customer is, either services you want to offer and the type of business you want to serve, the type of individual you want to serve. That stuff's incredibly relevant. I was just talking with a client the other day who's down in Houston, actually, and this is just an example, but he's spending a decent amount with us on ads and marketing SEO. In March 2026, up till basically like March 20th. So March 1st to 20th of 2026 compared to March 1st to 20th of 2025, he's up 50% in revenue from the same time period last year to this time period this year, in basically early to late March. And what's one of the changes? We are doing a lot of Google advertising for them. So Google ads still work because we are proactively going after people who search for a variety of keywords that may not be the normal organic reactive terms that we get. And actually, he's getting really good results still on organic Google too. That is still a thing, but it's a pay-to-play thing. So if you really want to grow, but you don't really want to invest in ads, I think that's a philosophical conversation to kind of sit with. Like, what's the resistance there? Some people have done ads and they haven't worked. But if more and more traffic goes to ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity, it is going to force your hand to consider paying to go and get leads, which is to say, to function more like a normal business. And it's normal. It's okay. This isn't scary. This isn't bad. This is like very normal. If you're an electrician or a plumber, or you do HVAC work, if you do any type of home services work, if you are a restaurant, if you're in a competitive space that isn't as driven by referrals, which some of those industries are, right? Everyone loves having a good ex-contractor when they need him that they can ask a friend, like, hey, Noah, who's your guy for drywall? And you're like, I got a guy. That's still a thing, but there are just more competitive spaces where it's like the table stakes is that you just have to be willing to advertise if you actually want to compete. He generally doesn't feel that pinch because you can grow historically based on referrals without ever having to spend a dime on it. And I just think that's done. I think that that's something you're going to have to kind of like make peace with, that in the coming season, we're going to have to do more pay to play lead gen. And with that, Noah, I think you and I both have hard stops here at the top of the hour. We're going to have to wrap here a little bit abruptly, but we're going to come back to part 2 on AI related to both other things we didn't hit, email marketing, sales, where AI can free you up in your time. But I think that marketing to sales, we're going to make that baton pass next time and get into it. So sorry for the abrupt end. If you let us
it's
go,
good. And I
we'll
just
keep
want
going.
to put the plug. I mean, if you lasted with us this long, hey, and if any of this resonates, please grab a time on our calendar, talk to tpm.com or go to our website, taxpromarketer.com, learn a little bit more, check us out. But like free conversation. Like if you just kind of want to like dig into this a little bit and be like, I want to know a little bit more. I've never done any of this before and it's kind of scary and it kind of freaks me out. That's great. Would love to talk, would love to have a conversation, would love to kind of flesh out a few, options, ideas. So just kind of see what would work to help.